Initial thoughts for Colorado this upcoming Thursday?
Not too much. I mean, obviously, a very good team, very good at home. Kind of led by their point guard, who's a really good player. So I think, in some regards, they're similar to Oregon, and just their point guard play is tremendous. And I think he's the head of the snake there and really leads them. So, and our biggest focus is try to get better on the road. That's a big challenge.
Uh, Again, going off on the road, you come off of two huge wins sweeping Oregon at home this year. What do you think is the first thing to really focus on to translate that success to the road?
No, it's handling success and knowing that we poked our head a little bit above the water, and people are going to be, they're going to be, every game's important. They're going to be a little more ready for you, and on the road, it's a little more of a challenge. And I'll really be matter of fact as we talk about confronting the facts and to kind of explain let's look at how we play on the road. We're 1-3. Percentages, stuff like that, and say, hey, let's address what we can do and try to be really, and a lot of it's mental. You got to be mentally tough to be able to defend on the road. It's hard, especially they really like get out in transition, and they get really, when they get on a roll, they're pretty good and be able to rebound the ball. And I mean, you got to take care of the ball, give yourself a chance off the offensive end.
How would you say the injury reports coming with the team? Would you say there's some progress?
Yeah, I think getting healthy. Obviously, it's not my area of expertise, but those things take time, and I think, I think Tony and Marvin's maybe a little closer, but we're barely in this phase of getting them on the court and kind of non-contact stuff. So, but I think it'll accelerate when they get their feet underneath them a little bit, and then there's another process of working them back in there and establishing our depth a little bit.
Can you just go in a little bit, building off the road stuff? How does the elevation maybe affect the team a little bit? Does that come into play when you're going to the mountain school?
I coached at Air Force for a year, and I was on that side of it, and probably is something, but I think it's somewhat psychological. I mean, we have a little altitude here, right? We're like 2,500 feet, so maybe I'll tell our guys that we've been preparing for this road trip all year, and it probably does help us. But I just can't obsess with it, and but might have to play a little more depth. We'll manage it. I've coached up there. Maybe I think just played 2 games up there in a tournament a long time ago, and I think they're probably a really good second half team. Right, they take advantage of that. I'll look into it, but I think they are. They think they usually are.
Colton?
Hey, Coach, it's Colton with Tribune. How's it going?
Great.
I was wondering, between last week and now, you feel relieved a bit, or how much relief is there? Maybe a little bit of surprise, just knowing that you guys can play well and be the top 10 team, another good one without a bunch of key contributors.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily. I always, like I said, we always talk about respect everyone, fear no one, and I think that's kind of keeps us on an even keel, but. Didn't necessarily after the Stanford game see that we were going to come in and play that well. But I felt like we've been progressing in some areas. Our team changed just by necessity. We're going to still play this hand and see if we would like to have everybody back. I think you're always going to be better with more players. But they caught a little groove and played pretty well, and we're going to take that act on the road and see if that holds up.
After the Stanford game, you said that maybe the team was a little bit ill-prepared to go into that one. Does that make you change, the scheme, schedule, and how you handle going on the road?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, we're a different team without those guys, and I don't think I gave them the right proper perspective, and I think we were a little more humbled after the Stanford game, and kind of it's amazing what humility can do at times, and I thought we really were coachable, and I don't know, something clicked this last weekend, so hopefully we'll see if we can. It's hard. Basketball's tricky. It's a chemistry sport. There's 5 guys out there. Maybe we can see if we can sustain that on the road. It'd be great.
And as of now, what key analytic is kind of prospering for you guys, and which one maybe can help at this point?
I don't know if I want to reveal that. I got to keep some up my sleeve. I will say there's one that is it takes some time. We had to have a lot of possessions where it's like kind of in the essence of combinations and like what works and not necessarily why, but hopefully we've tapped into something. I'm kind of if I was going to put my finger on anything, it might be that. So we'll see how that progresses. I might reveal. I'll do a reveal at the end of the year, but it's like I always wonder why Billy Beane shared his data. The A's disappeared. No, they didn't really disappear. They're still pretty good, but the Yankees and Red Sox said, "Oh, that's good information. We'll start buying those players." So I never know for sure, but we got. Go ahead. No, I say never know for sure, but I'm hoping I stumbled into something.
With DJ, you said that he kind of needed a swift kick that you can just kind of get him going. What was it that he started showing in practice, or was it kind of him getting game minutes and proving himself to you during game time?
I couldn't tell you. I just basically said this. In my mind, it was his last shot. It's like he's been really good in the summer and in the fall at times. Sometimes he'd be the best player in the gym. And then he's, and it's normal freshman stuff with academics and that. And just I think he's a little, what's the right word? He'll defer. He's okay with letting older guys, it's normal with freshmen. So I'm like, no, man, we if you can help us, you need to go, and you got to go in there with the right attitude and do the best you can. You can't, I said before the game, I said, you can't give me that look. And he goes, what do you mean what look? I said, you know the look. The like puzzled question, what's going on? And so that's why I threw him in there early against Oregon just to see if he could do it. And then he felt good out there. And it wasn't just, and it's not his shot making, it's just everything. He's got a good feel. And we needed some strong bodies in there, and he played well. So, and it didn't. I didn't know necessarily know that, and went back to it the next night, and it seemed to work again. And maybe he has some. I think he spaces the floor. He helps us offensively, and he's kind of steady defender too. He just gives us a little more sturdiness, and maybe the rebounding too. So I'm not exactly sure, but he seems to, when he's on the floor, good things have been happening.
And with Isaac, what kind of his best qualities as a guard? You said you kind of given him a longer leash because you've just been so dominant in practice. Was that kind of basically what we saw against Oregon State?
Yeah, that was one of the better performances I've ever had as a guard. But it's not like that in practice area, but it's more in the sense that he'd, like I said, our emphasis the first 5 weeks of practice is always defending, rebounding, ball handling, and he had scored really well in that. And he's also one of our leading scorer, probably our leading scorer in practice. So, and that's why I said, like, it was a little out of character and not unusual for guys to start the season like that, just amped up, excited, the adjustment. And I think his default is shoot and try to make things out like when in doubt, just try to make a bucket. And I thought he would, and it took a while, and hopefully I think, and he had to get to where he trusts me a little bit on, like I said, I'm giving him longer, like you played hard, you earned this opportunity, but we got to, reel it in and figure it out. And he's been much more comfortable and much more open to everything, and he's healthier too. He was a little bad health there too. That can affect how you are mentally going into a game and not getting the practice reps and missing some stuff. But I think he's coming out of that, and I think he's been really easy to work with, and he's open to it. And he wants to be really good. He wants our team to be good.
And with you guys in rebounding, I know that's one of the key things you're working on. But on paper, it might not seem like you have the upper hand on the glass, but the last few games look good. Is it just by virtue of you guys kind of outworking the competition, or what's kind of been key in the rebounding resurgence there?
It might be personnel a little bit better. You're talking recently we've been rebounding better? I think we've been rebounding pretty well all season because the raw rebounding stat is really skewed when you see on a box score. So we're really emphasizing how we're rebounding on the defensive end and on the offensive end percentage-wise. I think it's always been our focus. I think we made a huge jump from last year to this year. And sometimes you look, we're -4 on the overall net rebounding. It's like, but we dig in, and it's like, you know what, we did it because we don't turn it over as much. And we were shooting so poorly that we're giving up a lot of defensive rebounds. And so I think making more shots probably tighten that gap. There's not as many defensive rebound opportunities, but it's something we pound. We try to pound every day. Like that's number 2. It's defending and You know, we got to give it. We're a little different defensively now with the short depth, and you still got to make a miss. You got to get it, and then get good possessions by getting shots on the other end.
And then, just in your eyes right now, how limited is the separation between the top of the Pac-12, whoever that may be, and the bottom of the Pac-12, whoever that may be? Is no one safe at this point? Does it feel like?
Yeah, it seems like cannibalizing each other or whatever, and I can't tell. And we haven't played enough people yet. I was really impressed, obviously, with Stanford when we played them, and I guess they really squandered. Should have had the road sweep, up 20 and then up 5 with 14 seconds with the ball, and so that would put them at 5-0 if they would have done that. And I'd say they're we'll see. It's a long season, but can't tell. I mean, I just don't know enough about it. And first time through too, I don't have a great feel. But I know that I think the road teams are going into are like 9-21 or something. So I think it's like most leagues, it's hard to get one on the road, and they'll start to separate usually. But in some of the teams don't play many road games non-conference in these big leagues, and I think it takes an adjustment. And then by second time around through league, it evens out a little more, and kids are more used to it, and we'll see how that goes, though.
Great, that's all I got. Thank you so much.
All right.
I was going to say, after the monumental weekend you guys had with Clay coming, you're officially +1 wins over last year's record. Would you care to make your comment about?
You know what? I'd be lying if I said that was one of our goals as far as program-wise. Every year, trying to keep going the right direction, and that was a standard. We still have. Hopefully, we can find the next win, and then 2 more wins in league would be an improvement in league too. But that's good. I think the guys are in the program. I think it's a big confidence boost. The ones that are new to the program, they don't know any different. But that's great. We've got a lot of games, and just hopefully trying to establish ourselves as a good program, good winning program. But that's a good sign.
With the depth being a little bit shorter nowadays with the injuries coming up, do you see many changes with the starting lineup? I see that Noah's been kind of in there for a couple games, and Gervais.
I think we'll stay. We played really well, so I'm not going to twist that at all. So going forward, and just hopefully, and then like Jazz was hurt too, which is crazy. And I think he might even be better in that role, that capacity, just when he gets 100%. But I just think we're a little quicker on the perimeter, and that's whatever. We're playing pretty well, and Jazz got a lot of minutes too as a starter. So maybe he finds a way to do that. And DJ seemed to be good in that role, and Ryan didn't play as much, but he's probably next up there and helping us. But it just seemed like we played about 7 guys. It was working. Duran, I feel bad because he played well down Stanford, and we're banged up, and we were playing pretty well and had a lead, and just kind of those things happen in games.
I mean, kind of going on top of that, Isaac, on top of his great game, he played 39 minutes out of the 40. So does that kind of tweak some of the playing time, a little bit more substitution in there, or I could see how fatigue might play?
Yeah, no, we had to stretch that game a little bit, and the Oregon State thing, I thought was a pretty half-court game. They're really efficient offensively. We really had a hard time guarding them in the half court. But the pace was pretty fewer possessions in that one than, say, like Oregon. And Colorado's going to be really challenging, and on the backside of that, Utah too. With the, like I said, altitude, they want to play fast, so we got to manage it, the minute substitutions, and find ways to probably steal a few more minutes. Especially when there's a lot of responsibility, obviously, on the offensive end for Isaac, and then he's been good defensively. It's hard to do both. I mean, you don't find many point guards that can guard the ball, pick up the ball, do a great job defensively, and then carry the load offensively. And just getting we'd like to get where he's doesn't have to initiate offense all the time. We're gonna get him off the ball more, just more in the sense like it's taxing. We gotta see where that. We'll probably need to stretch it somehow on the bench and find a way to get more minutes, more rest.
Lastly, with all the people who showed up on Saturday, I would assume a great deal of them would come for Clay and Steph Curry. But
yeah.
Having such a impactful game, your highest point total this season, Isaac playing terrific. Do you see that as kind of a statement for Coug fans, like redefining the culture, as you guys seem to be saying?
I hope so. I didn't know how I knew we talked about it. Our guys, I was really impressed with how our guys handled the whole week. As far as say, hey, there's going to be a lot of interest. We got Clay coming to practice Friday. I knew that was going to be tough to get anything done, and it was about as expected. Once he showed up, it was, it was great. I mean, I just think we had to. I think it really helped to know how much our guys know how much he cared about his experience in Pullman and how much he grew here and how much he loves it. It was genuine. It was a genuine expression of his love for Washington State and Pullman. So, I think we'll see if we can handle that. I don't know. I can't remember the question. I started babbling.
Do you think the fans kind of get a good sense of the team now?
Yeah, no, I think that and we could have made a better statement for hopefully people getting on board. And I know walking around town, I've got a few more people, pats on the back and stuff like that, because I think a lot of people showed up, and I think it was great for, like I said, the whole community. And you live here not as long as some, but I think just here's an NBA superstar that was so honored and touched to be acknowledged in the way he did, and I think the community too is just really awestruck by how his humility and his gratitude for the experience. So it's great for recruiting. It's great for everything, because I think it really captures what this place is about.